morning everyone, I am Anuj. Today we are starting a new series which will be known as Weekly Roundup. So before starting today's session, let me explain you about this series and how it will be useful for you. First of all, it will be a video series, so there will be no separate PDF, so you can listen to the videos very carefully. Second, it will be uploaded on weekly basis. So most probably it will be uploaded on every Sunday. Third, what we will be covering in this? So we will be covering the major news development which has occurred in the past week, which are useful for you and which are aligned with UPSC preparation. Fourth, it is very similar to our News Today initiative. In News Today, we cover our news on day-to-day basis, but in this we will be covering on weekly basis. And it will consist of three components. First, main news. We will be covering around 4 to 5 main news in detail. Second component of this series will be also in news, or also known as quick updates. So in this we will be covering around 6 to 7 small news, and those will be explained to you in very brief. Third, either we will be covering place in news or personality in news, which was there in the news in the last week. So this is about this series. So let's begin with our today's session. So in main news we will be covering around 5 news, and in quick updates we will be covering 6 to 7 news, and we will be covering one place in news, that is Baltic Sea. So what are the major development in this week? First, that WTO Agreement on Fisheries Subsidies has entered into force. So we will be learning about that agreement and what are its features and implications. Second, Supreme Court has observed that time has come to decriminalise defamation. So we will be covering what is defamation, what is the present status, and what are the other observations regarding defamation. In third news, USA has increased the H1B visa fees. So we will be learning about H1B visa and in implication and how it can be a blessing in disguise for India. In fourth news, main news, we will be covering that world largest neutrino detector has activated underground. In this news, we will be learning about what are the neutrinos and what is this observatory. The fifth main news is India's Dugong Conservation Reserve has been recognized by IUCN. So we will be learning about Dugong and about that reserve which has been recognized by the IUCN. So these are the 5 major developments we will be covering today. And in quick updates, we will be learning about Barren Island volcano, Bagram Air Base, Tamil Nadu Coastal Restoration Mission, Visakhapatnam Declaration, Vyom Mitra, 6th Schedule, and Sivom River. And in place in news, we will be knowing about Baltic Sea and its features. Okay, so let's begin with the first news. What is first news? First news is that WTO Agreement on Fisheries Subsidies has entered into the force. So what are its mapping in our syllabus? It is there in GS2 as well as in GS3. In GS2 we have talked, like the syllabus talked about international organization and its agreements. So here we are talking about WTO. In paper 3, there is a mentioned in syllabus which is issues related to direct and indirect farm subsidies. So these are the mapping of this topic in our syllabus. So let's begin with the context. So what is the context? The context is that this agreement on fisheries subsidies has entered into the force. So what was this agreement? What are its key features? Has India joined it or not? And why there was requirement of this agreement? We will be basically covering in this news. So first, about this agreement. So it was in 2022 ministerial meeting of WTO. There was this motion about agreement on fisheries subsidies, but it has come into force now because the requirement to come into the force was that at least two-thirds members of total WTO members, which stand at 166, should rectify this agreement. Then only this agreement can come into the force. Okay, so that was the basic context of this news. Second, it will be binding for curbing harmful government subsidies. So basically, government provides subsidies to fisheries sector so that they can catch fishes and export and as well as consume. So this agreement talk about curbing harmful government subsidies. Third point, that it is first WTO multilateral agreement with environmental sustainability at its core. So if there is a question about a role of WTO or achievement of WTO, then you can talk about that WTO is not only promoting trade, but it also conserving our ecosystem through agreements such as this. Fourth point, it support SDG 14. So what is SDG 14? SDG 14 talk about life below water. So what it include? It include resources under ocean, seas and marine areas. So in these areas, we will this agreement will try to conserve and use those resources sustainably. Now coming to the aspect that did India join it? So the answer is India did not join this agreement. So basic question here arises is, why does India did not join this agreement? So before going into that, let me tell you some fact. First of all, India has become the second largest producer of fisheries in this year's February. Before that, Indonesia was the second largest producer of fisheries. So India is the second largest producer, and the first largest producer is China. It is as not only the largest producer but largest exporter as well. Okay. Now coming to the question, why India did not join? First of all, India has repercussion, or India has said that the special and differential treatment provided in this agreement is not sufficient for developing countries. Okay. And second issue which India has had that the subsidies provided by India to the fisheries farmer is less than $15 per family. And when we compare these subsidies to the countries like China, USA, it is very low. So India is saying that there is no need to reduce the subsidies which India provide to the fisheries sector in India. And also by doing this, India wants to promote the fishing sector, which are mostly done by the vulnerable sections. Okay, so that is the reason India has not joined this agreement. Now coming to the key features of this agreement. First of all, it prohibits subsidies. What kind of subsidies it prohibits? Subsidies that contribute to illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing. Second, overfished stock. Third, fishing related activities in unregulated high sea. So what is high sea? So high sea is the areas which are not there in any country's exclusive economic zones. So those areas are known as high seas, and they can be considered as global common as they support humanity on global level. Now in 2013 there was a question in prelims, what are the reason for the major fishing ground in the world? So there were many options. The correct option was that wherever the cold current and the hot current meet one another, there are the largest fishing ground in the world. For example, this is Gulf Stream, this is Labrador stream. So when these Gulf Stream and Labrador cold current meet, Gulf Stream is a hot current and Labrador is a cold current. Whenever they meet each other, and that area, the fishing productivity is very high. So by this knowledge, that question can be solved. This information is also given in NCERTs. Second feature of this agreement is that members has to provide the fisheries related information. If a member does not provide fishing related information, then there will be no use of such agreement. So the information about their fishing stock and how much they are how much fishing they are catching, so that type of information will be provided to the WTO. Third feature of this agreement is that it established WTO Fish Fund. So we will divide this in two parts, what it is and how this fund will be created. So coming to the first part, it is a fund which will assist developing and least developing countries to implement this agreement. Second, how the fund will be created? The fund will be created by voluntary contribution by the members. So members will contribute voluntary, and that fund will go to the fish fund. Last feature of this agreement is that it talk about special and differential treatment to the developing countries. So what is special and differential treatment? A special and differential treatment is where the treatment provided to the developing countries is different from the developed countries, because developing countries are still their population or their growth is very limited when compared to the developed countries. So the treatment provided to them is favorable, and there are some flexibilities which are provided in the agreement so that they can implement those agreements in an effective way. Okay. So these were the features of this agreement. Now coming to the part why there was need of the agreement. So such type of data can be used to substantiate your answer in mains. So first data is in 2021, around 35% of global fish stock were overfished. You can compare, like suppose there was 100 fish catched by the fishermen around the world, around 35 fishes were produced due to overfishing. Second, why this was need of this agreement, that out of 35 billion US subsidies which was given, around $22 million subsidies were harmful for fisheries. So that's why there was this need of this agreement. Okay. Now coming to the previous year question paper, any similar question? There was a similar question regarding this. What are direct and indirect subsidies provided to farm sector in India? And discuss the issues raised by WTO in relation to agriculture subsidies. So this was a mains question in 2013. At that time, the issues of public stocking was a lot in news. That's why the question about the farm subsidies. But now, as this fisheries subsidies in news, there can be a direct or indirect questions in the mains examinations. Now, moving forward to the second news. So second news is that Supreme Court has observed that it has time to decriminalize defamation, and from which part of paper it is? It is from GS paper 2, which talk about important aspect of the governance. So this is the second news. Now we will discuss what is defamation, what are the provision related to defamation presently, why there is need to decriminalize defamation, and previous observation by Law Commission as well as judgment by High Court and Supreme Court regarding decriminalization of defamation. So now first coming to what is defamation. So defamation is act of communicating false information which can be spoken, written or published towards a individual, towards a group or relative members close of group or individual. So that is known as defamation. And defamation can be of two types. One is libel and another one is oral. Libel defamation is when you write, publish or produce an image which is defamatory. And in oral, defamation is when you communicate to someone which is defamatory. So both these type of defamation can be criminalized or can be categorized that you can sue the person for criminalization of defamation. So what is the basic requirement to categorize an act as defamation in civil, in criminal cases? That it should pass three aspects. One, of course, that should be defamatory. Second, it should be targeted towards an individual or an identifiable group. So it should be targeted at individual or a group which can be identified. Okay. Third, it should be communicated or written to the person other than the person who is claiming that he has been defamed. So these are the three conditions for criminal defamation, to sue one person for defaming one person. So now coming to the second aspect of this news, what is the present status of defamation in India? Presently, under Indian law, a person can choose to sue for defamation as a criminal offence or as well civil offence. In criminal offence, that person will be liable for 2 years or imprisonment and or a fine. In civil offence, that person will be liable for compensatory monetary compensation. So that is the basic difference. And currently under section 356 of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, that defamation is defined, or the criminalization of defamation is there. Okay, and it has replaced the section 499 of Indian Penal Code. So it is presently at section 356 and before it was in section 499 of IPC. Okay. Now coming to the second part of this discussion, that why is there a need to decriminalize defamation? Suppose you are saying something to someone and there is a constant fear that you can be imprisoned for whatever you are saying. So then you will become very cautious and you will become like your freedom of speech and expression will get restricted. So the first need is that if it violates freedom of speech, which is provided under Article 19(1)(a) of Indian Constitution. Second, it silences dissent. So suppose there are influential people and they think that someone has said something wrong about them, or even if they think that they have not said wrong about them, even then they can put a case and that they can intimidate their critics. Other needs are that it is a threat to freedom of press, because press cannot publish news freely. Second, it will also help in courts to reduce the number of pendency of cases. So that is the need of to decriminalize defamation. Now coming to the recommendations and judgments related to defamation. First recommendation, that Law Commission in its 285th report has said that reputation, a person's reputation is vital part of Article 21. So please in comment section tell me about what does Article 21 talk about. In the same commission report, the commission has also said that in some countries like New Zealand and Australia, that there is no defamation is not a criminal offense. Okay. Similarly, in Subramaniam Swamy versus Union of India Supreme Court case, Supreme Court has upheld the criminal defamation and said that it balances free speech and right to protect one's reputation. So the second important observation here is that in Subramaniam Swamy versus Union of India case, Supreme Court has upheld the criminal defamation. But recently, the context was there that Supreme Court has made an observation that this law is utilized in a wrongful manner to silence the critics. That's why they have made this an observation. Okay. Similarly, Gujarat High Court has said that reputation, if one's reputation is gone once, it cannot come back. That's why the defamation should be a criminal offense. So this was in the second important news in the today's discussion, and we will discuss one PYQ related to this. The PYQ in 2014 was there. What do you understand by the concept of freedom of speech and expression? And does it cover hate speech also? Why do the film in India stand on a slightly different flame from other form of expression? So if we look into the first part of this question, it talk about freedom of speech and expression. Somewhere criminal defamation or the defamation which is criminalized also restrict the freedom of speech and expression. Here the question is about hate speech, but then question can also be about defamation. So that is the relevant PYQ to this news. Now we will be moving forward to the third news. The third news is that USA has hiked the H1B visa fees to 1 lakh US$, which comes around 88 lakhs in India, which is very high. So that is their policy, which is restricting the movement to their country. Okay, and how it is related in the syllabus. In GS paper 2, there is mentioned of effect of policies and politics of developed and developing countries on India's interest. So it is part of paper 2. Now coming to the news. Context I have already told you. Before going into the opportunities or impact of it on India, let us briefly talk about what we will be covering in this news. We will be covering what is H1B visa, what are the opportunities by the fee hike to the India, and what are the challenges to India as well. Okay. So first coming to the H1B visa, you might have heard about Elon Musk, you might have heard about Satya Nadella. So all these top CEOs are beneficiary of this visa. So when this visa came in 1990. And what is purpose? Its purpose was to allow US companies to get employees from outside which are very skilled on specialized on specialization basis. So basically this was to attract global talent to the USA in 1990. It started in 1990. Now coming to the duration, its duration is up to 6 years. And after this period, the visa holder has to apply for permanent residency or move back to his parents' country or outside USA for at least 12 months. Okay, and why India is worried or why we are covering this news is India is continuing to dominate the list of recipient who have got the H1B visa. Around 70% recipient of H1B visa are Indian. The second country is China, which stand at merely 15% when compared to India's 70%. So that is the reason we are discussing it here. Now, coming to the another aspect of this news is what this fee hike provide, how this fee hike provide opportunities for India. First of all, as I have told you, H1B visa was for specialized workers, and around 70% of those are Indians. So those specialized workers can come back to India and can contribute to the Indian development. That will be resulting in reversing brain drain. Okay. Second opportunity will be that it will support Indian startup ecosystem. India can leverage its world third largest hub ecosystem. India has the third largest ecosystem hub. So they can promote and help the ecosystem, startup ecosystem to grow more. Okay. Now coming to the third opportunity, India government through its various programs such as Startup India, Digital India, Make in India and Atal Innovation Mission is actively promoting entrepreneurship in individuals in India. So when those people who are there in USA working on H1B visa, they will get benefited by these policies of government and they can promote entrepreneurship in a better way in India. Okay. Third, that cost and market advantage. Still in India, the labor cost is very low when we compare it to the Western world. Now even the China's labor cost is higher. So in India, the lower operational cost and low labor cost will promote more industries. Second, the market base of domestic country of India is very high. So that will provide a well-established market for whoever is establishing new ecosystem or a new startup or a new industry in India. Okay. Now third opportunity, like Silicon Valley of USA, India can emerge as the Asian Silicon Valley, as India is increasingly investing in new technologies like AI, blockchain and etc. So we can leverage those investment and we can create an Asian Silicon Valley. Okay. Now coming to the challenges, how it will be difficult for India to get these advantages. First, India has low R&D. Low R&D, spending on R&D in India is mere 0.7% of GDP. When we compare it to the countries like China, the spending there is around 3% of GDP. Or countries like Israel, there is around 6% of GDP is spent on R&D. Second challenge which India can face is that infrastructure and regulation. Still, when we compare our infrastructure to the Western countries, it is at the low level. So to provide them the basic facilities, it will take a little more time when compared to the Western world. Third, the regional cooperation. You might have heard the Gen Z protest. You might have heard the issues of stability in Pakistan or the issue of Taliban in Afghanistan. So the regional stability around India is low. Around India, stability is low. That's why that can impact our growth. That's why this is a challenge. Okay. Now this was the news. Now in 2025, this year paper, there was a question. What are the challenges before the Indian economy when the world is moving away from the free trade and multilateralism to protectionism and bilateralism? And how can these challenges be met? So basically, what we have noticed in the present context is that world is moving forward from multilateralism to protectionism and bilateralism. So this fee hike of USA is one such example. So we can quote this such example in this answer, and how these challenges can be met. So basically, what are the challenges? Challenges are similar to those challenges what we have talked about in this session, in this news. So though if we try to solve those challenges, we can get the proper development, and we can move forward economically as well as socially to an upper level which we are targeting by 2047 as a developed nation. Viksit Bharat. Okay. Now coming to the fourth main news. The context of the news is that world largest neutrino detector has been activated underground. So this is the news, and it is from GS paper 3, where syllabus talk about science and technology development and their application. This is the news. In this news we will cover what is this observatory, what are neutrinos, what are the major objective of this observatory, and what are other observatory in the world. Okay. Now coming to this observatory, it is known as Jiangmen Underground Neutrino Observatory, or GENO, and it is located in China. Location of largest places or largest technological event is also important, because such type of question have occurred in UPSC prelims examination. So this observatory is situated around 700 meter underground. So when you see such types of news, you should wonder why China has built this observatory around 700 meter underground. So the reason is that the physical bulk of the earth crust block most of the other interfering materials, particles such as muon, so that the study of the neutrino can take in better way. We will also talk about its mission objective of this observatory, but before that let us discuss about what are neutrino. So neutrinos literal meaning is tiny neutral. That means those are very tiny in mass and they have zero electric charge. So there are billions of neutrinos going in and around in the world. Even now, when you are listening or watching this video, around billions of neutrino will be passing through your body, but you will not recognize them. That's why these particles are known as ghost particle. You might have seen in the movies that ghost can pass through body and they won't detect it. So that's why these particles are known as ghost particle. And these particles are second most abundant particle in the universe after photons. So photons are the light particles which are the most highest common abundant particle, and these are the second most abundant particles. Third, about detectability of neutrino. So they are very hard to detect. So there are around 4 fundamental forces in the world. One is weak nuclear forces, second strong nuclear forces, third electromagnetic forces, and gravity. Fourth is gravity. So in those 4 forces only weak nuclear force and gravity interact with neutrinos. So now coming to the features. This is an important part for your prelims. You might be wondering that this is a very technical news, but UPSC does not go into very depth of technical news. They can simply ask about their features, or they can ask about that does they have electric charge, or does they have size, or does they have mass. So as you have read that they have zero electrical charge and zero size, but they have a tiny mass. So this information is important. So don't go into that this news is very technical. Now coming to its feature, this is neutrinos are undisturbed by the even strongest magnetic field, and they traveled in a straight line from their source. Third important feature is they traveled almost at the speed of light. That is the reason Einstein thought that they have zero mass, but later they came to know that they have tiny mass. Okay, so this was about neutrinos. Now coming to the main goal of the Juno. First, it will tell you, or it will observe about the mass hierarchy. As I have earlier told you that they have very tiny mass. So there are three types of neutrino. One is electron neutrino, second muon neutrino, and tau neutrino. So these are related to their respective particles like electron, muon, and tau. Okay. So they will find about hierarchy, that which one has the higher weight and which has the lowest weight. Second, they will talk about, observe about oscillation frequency. What is this? I have told you that there are three types of neutrino, and they continuously changes from one to the another type. So that is the frequency of changing from one type to the another is known as oscillation frequency. So they will observe about at what time, at what frequency they oscillate from one type to the other. So these are the main goal of the Juno. Now coming to the other key neutrino observatory. First of all, let me tell you about the Indian based neutrino observatory. It is jointly funded by Department of Atomic Energy and Department of Science and Technology. Now second important fact about this is where it is located. It is located in Bodhi West Hill of Theni district of Tamil Nadu. Okay, and why these hills are selected for the development of this observatory? Actually, these hills are very steep. Steep means they are like very steep. So it is very easy to build underground observatory below these hills. And obviously, as they will be below Earth, there will be less interference from the other subatomic particles. Second key observatory is Ice Cube Neutrino. It is located in the South Pole. Before Juno, this was the largest neutrino observatory. Okay, so this is located in South Pole under the ice. Okay, and the other neutrino observatories are China's Trident and USA's Dune. You don't have to remember everything, but at least you can remember about the India's based neutrino observatory and the Juno, because presently Juno is the largest neutrino observatory. Okay. Now coming to the question, there was a question in prelims around I think 2013 or 14. The question was, in the context of modern scientific research, consider the following statement about ice cube, a particle detector located at South Pole, which was recently in the news. Okay, at that time it was the news. First option is that it is world largest neutrino detector encompassing a cubic kilometer of ice. Okay. Second statement was, it is powerful telescope to search for dark matter. Okay. Third, it is buried deep in the ice. In the discussion, I have already told you that it was the largest neutrino at that time. So first option is correct. Second, it does not only was observatory for neutrinos, but it was observatories for the cosmos. So in cosmos, the dark matter also comes. So second option, second statement is also correct. And in the discussion, we have talked about that it was buried in the ice. So all the three options in this question was correct. So this was the fourth news. Now we will move towards the fifth main news for the today. What is the fifth main news? The fifth main news is that India's Dugong Conservation Reserve has been recognized by IUCN, and this is like It is related to GS paper 3, which talk about environment and ecology conservation. So why we are doing neutrino, about dugong in such a like in detailed manner? You might have heard about species recovery program of India. There are 22 animals in that program. So whenever there is a question in prelims, especially about those 22 animals, they goes into very much details. Either questions on Asiatic lions or gharials or dolphins. The question based on 22 animals which are there in species recovery program of India, the questions are in depth. So that's why we will be learning about dugong, their conservation, their habitat, what are their special features, especially their characteristics, because it has been observed that in the recent past UPSC is focusing on the characteristics of animal. It might be about dancing frog, it might be about roaring of cheetahs. So the characteristics of animals or the species have become important for UPSC prelims. Okay, so let's begin our discussion. So IUCN has adopted the motion which has recognized India's first dugong conservation reserve, which is present in Palk Bay. So we will also learn about Palk Bay later, and what this motion will do, it will increase, extended the Indian model to the other parts and habitat of the dugong to adopt the Indian model of conservation so that they can promote the dugong conservation. Okay. So now coming to the habitat, what are the major habitat of dugong in India, in the world? In the major habitat of dugong in India, we will be covering in the later part of this news. Now first coming to the major habitat in the world. You can see the map. Can you recognize which two oceans are these? One is Indian Ocean and another one is Pacific Ocean. So globally, dugongs are spreaded from Red Sea, which is here, to Eastern Pacific region. So this is the global habitat area of dugong, and in these area IUCN will be increasing the conservation effort or the effort put on by the government of Tamil Nadu to protect dugong and the Indian government as well. Okay, so this is the context of the news. Now coming to the dugong, as I have already told you that it is an animal from the species recovery program, so its characteristics and other important features can be asked in the prelims examination. Okay, so it is also commonly known as sea cow. Why it is known as sea cow? It is known as sea cow because it is dependent on seagrass which is present at the shallow sea. Okay, and it is only marine herbivores, mammals that depend on seagrass. Wherever there is a mention of only or all, that information become very important, because in such types of statement when they comes in UPSC, like Asiatic lions are only present in India, that statement was given. So in examination, what we tend to do is we normally think that it will be very difficult that it is only present in India. So we tend to ignore or we tend to get the wrong answer. So that's why whenever there is a mention of only or all, pay little bit more focus in that area. Now coming to the distribution of it, in India, apart from Palk Bay, it is also found in the Gulf of Mannar and Gulf of Kutch. Okay, this is the distribution and status. I have already told you that it is included in species recovery program of India. There are around 22 species in that. Second, its IUCN status is vulnerable. Third, it is listed in Schedule 1 and Schedule 4 of Wildlife Protection Act after 2022 amendment. Before that it was only listed in Schedule 1, but after 2022 it is also listed in Schedule 4. What have changed, or like what have changed which has made it to include in Schedule 4 of WPA 1972? In WPA now, after the 2022 amendment, if a species is there in CITES appendix, that will be included in Schedule 4. So please remember this. Any animals which has been included in CITES appendix will be there in Schedule 4. That will also there in the remaining schedule, but that will along with that schedule, that will be there in the Schedule 4 compulsory. Okay, so this is the information about Dugong. Now coming to the Dugong Conservation Reserve. It is the first dugong conservation in India, and it was recognized, established by the Tamil Nadu government under Wildlife Protection Act 1972. When we talk about its location, suppose this is the bottom part of India, this is Park Strait, and this is Sri Lanka. Is it visible? Okay. So above Park Strait, this is Park Bay. In the northern part of it, this conservation reserve is there. Okay. So that is the location of this reserve, and this region is home to around 1200-250 hectares of seagrass, and seagrass is not only supporting this dugong, but they also play a vital role in carbon sequestration. You can explain in the comment section what is the meaning of carbon sequestration. Okay, so that can be done in the comment section. Now coming to the previous year question. So in 2015, I think there was a question on dugong with reference to dugong, a mammal found in India. Which of the following statement is or are correct? First statement, it is a herbivorous marine animal. Okay. Second statement, it is found along the entire coast of India. It is given legal protection under Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act. So presently, as I have told you, that after 2022, it is also included in Schedule 4. But before that it was only present in Schedule 1. Second, I have already told you that it is an herbivorous marine animal. So now the answer of this question will depend on this. We have talked about that it is present in India, not only in Park Bay, but it is also present in Gulf of Mannar and Gulf of Kutch. That means it is not found along the entire coast of India. So the statement which carries entire, only, all, such type of statement should be read very carefully. Although all the statement in the paper should be read very carefully, but this statement which carries these words should be read more carefully. Okay. So this was the news, and now we will move forward to the next news, which is place in news. So today in place in news, we will be covering Baltic Sea. Why we are covering Baltic Sea? Because Germany has deployed its fighter jet after it has observed the Russian military plane. So that's why it was in news and we are covering it. And from where we are getting information that we should cover such type of sea? In previous papers of UPSC has asked about the global sea. For example, there was a question about Black Sea. and its neighboring countries. So that's why when there is some issues in seas or there is some issues about water bodies, there can be question around it. That's why we are covering it today. Now, when we will be covering, we will be talking about its location and its feature. First of all, let's us discuss about its location. Location of this is North Atlantic Ocean. It extends from southern Denmark, from here to almost Arctic Circle. So this is the location. And please write about the countries which are surrounded about this sea. For example, Sweden, Finland, Estonia. So please write all the countries which are neighboring Baltic Sea. Okay. Now coming to the features. It is the youngest sea on the planet. Why it is the youngest sea? Because after Ice Age, this was the last sea which has melted and has become the sea. So it is the youngest sea. It is the largest expanse of the brackish water. Such type of strong statement can be remembered or should be remembered. Okay. Third feature is that Kiel Canal connect it to North Sea. So basically Kiel Canal is here, which is in Germany, and it connects Baltic Sea to North Sea. Okay. And there are many gulf in this, like Bothnia, Finland and Riga. One more important fact is that salinity of Baltic Sea is lower when compared to the surrounding waters. What is the reason? There are many freshwater rivers which are pouring their water into Baltic Sea and lowering its salinity. So these are the feature of Baltic Sea. Okay. So these was our main news as well as place in news. Now we will move forward to the quick update. So the first quick update is Barren Island volcano. What is the context? That fresh eruption has been reported in Barren Island volcano. So in 2017 also there was eruption in Barren Island volcano, and in 2018 prelims paper there was question about this volcano. Okay. So these type of geographical news should also be considered when you are preparing. So you should connect your static part to the current affairs to make your preparation more effective. Okay. Now we will understand little bit about the Barren Island. As I have already told you, it is situated in Andaman Sea, and it is present in Andaman and Nicobar Island in India. It is located around 143 kilometer northeast of Sri Vijayapuram, that is the capital of Andaman and Nicobar Island. And status, again, only active volcano in India. That was the exact line given in the 2018 prelims paper. That's why I have already told you about the importance of words like only, all, almost. Okay. Now coming to the type, it is an stratovolcano or composite volcano. These type of volcanoes are, although it is already given in your NCERTs, these volcanoes has very viscous lava. So that because of high viscosity, that lava does not go very far away from the pouring cone. So that surround around the cone as well. So they become very steep and high. And these volcanoes are present here because Indian plate is subsidizing under Burmese plate. So you will be reading about continental drift theory, you will be understanding it more clearly there. And now coming to the significance of Barren Island, it provides us with geological research, that means the past life of Earth. It helps us to monitor the volcanic hazard and also the ecological impact of it, and it is an strategic maritime location where it is present in the Bay of Bengal, we can monitor the location, the movement and the movement of sea routes and everything. Okay. So this was the first news. Now coming to the second small news. Second small news is Bagram Air Base. Why we are reading it? Because USA is in talk with Afghanistan to regain control of it. But if USA and Afghanistan are involved, why we are reading it? Because in the past paper, where there was controversy regarding some city or some area, that was asked in UPSC in match of the following. You can go through the many PYQs in prelims, that it is well known fact that when there is like issues or going on the certain region, those region can be asked in the UPSC prelims paper. So now we will understand a little more about Bagram Air Base. It is the largest air base in Afghanistan, which is located north of Kabul. So that is very sufficient information which can be sufficient for the prelims paper. But the other information is that it was built by Soviet Union but taken over by USA in 2001, and in 2021 they have vacated the Afghanistan along with this air base. But what is the hidden reason here? Hidden reason of USA is that China's border is very near to this air base, and their nuclear power plant can be observed from here. Okay, nuclear capacity and power plant there. So that is the hidden region, that if you want to know more about it. Okay. Now coming to the third, also in news, which is Tamil Nadu Coastal Restoration Mission, TNSOR. So it has been approved, and it has approved by the Tamil Nadu government, and it is an ambitious 1,675 crore project which will be funded by World Bank. And what is the aim of this project? Its aim is to strengthen Tamil Nadu coastal economy and resilience. Okay. So its main focus will be on mangroves restoration. Okay, and along with mangroves, the initiative also will help in protecting the seagrass or seascape there, and the endangered animals like turtles, dugongs, which we have already read in the main news. So these will also be protected. Now in this mission is important, but along with is mangroves and their properties is also important. How much area of land is there in India? Which state has the highest mangroves? West Bengal, for your information. And what are the characteristics? Characteristics like it has aerial roots, it is viviparous. So such type of characteristics of mangroves should be read and remembered. Okay. So this was the third, also in news. Now we will move to the fourth, also in news, which is Visakhapatnam Declaration to advance e-governance. First of all, here are two things. First, what is Visakha Declaration for? Okay, you should know that. Second, what is e-governance? It will help you in your mains answer writing. E-governance means electronic governance, means governance with the help of technologies, so that direct interference will become low and transparency and accountability in governance will become high. So that is e-governance. And if there is a direct question that what is Visakhapatnam Declaration is for, then you can talk about that it is for e-governance. Okay. Now we will briefly read about the key proposal of the Visakhapatnam Declaration. It has a vision to support inclusive, citizen-centric and transparent governance. Okay. And it will be technology driven. Latest technology such as AI, blockchain will be used for it. Third, it will try to replicate successful models like Sampada 2.0. Sampada 2.0 is a registration portal in Madhya Pradesh. Similarly, e-Khata of Bangalore, it is also registration portal for property. And also the drone analytic monitoring system of NHAI, which analyze digitally or systematically which is the areas and monitor those areas. So these models can be written as examples in your e-governance answer. If you are writing any e-governance answer in your mains paper or in the mains answers writing practice, you can write these example when there is a question about e-governance. Okay, and it will support grassroots and inclusive development by geographical outreach. It will support northeast areas and Ladakh, so that the outreach is gone to the grassroots level. Okay, so this was the fourth main news. Now coming to the next news. Next news is Vyom Mitra. So you can see this image. This is the Vyom Mitra. It has been developed by ISRO, and the context of this news is that ISRO chief revealed AI-powered Vyom Mitra robot which will fly an uncrewed Gaganyaan mission. So there are 2 to 3 things which you can remember in this news. First, what is Gaganyaan mission? Second, what is Vyom Mitra? So Gaganyaan mission is mission of ISRO, so that they can send around 3 crew members to the space that they are expecting they will send by next year or next to next year. And about coming to the Vyom Mitra, it is developed by ISRO. I have already told you about this, and it is AI enabled half humanoid robot. What does it mean that half humanoid robot? That means the legs of this robot are not there, only the upper part of the body is there. Okay, the direct meaning of it is that it is friend of the space, and it is equipped with the capability to monitor module parameter issue, alert and execute light suppose operation. This Vyom Mitra will also be sent with the crewed missions as well, and before that they will try and test the Gaganyaan mission, okay, by sending Vyom Mitra. Now coming to the second last also in news, it is 6th schedule. Why it is in news? There is lot of protest going on in Ladakh for demand of 6th schedule. So if there is demand, there are advantages of 6th schedule. Before going into the 6th schedule, when you will be reading polity, please be clear, you differentiate between 5th and 6th schedule. This year there was a question about 5th schedule. So you should read about in a comparative analysis that how 5th schedule is different from 6th schedule, where 5th schedule is applied, where 6th schedule is applied, and what are the power given under 5th schedule, and what are the power or the special treatment given under the 6th schedule. Okay, so we will talk about 6th schedule in this. It is under Article 244(2) and 275(1) of Indian Constitution. Okay, and it is there in 4 states, which can be remembered by ATMM. It stands for Assam, Tripura, Meghalaya and Mizoram. So in these 4 states, 6th schedule is there. And what are the special power? In these states, governor is empowered to create autonomous district council and autonomous regional councils. So autonomous regional council are constituted if there are different scheduled tribe in autonomous district. So that is the difference between autonomous regional council and autonomous district council. So why it is special? These these ADCs and ARCs have been given with the different legislative, executive, judicial and financial power in related to the tribals in that area. Of course, they had to be accepted by the governor, but they can pass they have the legislative, executive, judicial as well as financial power. So that is why this demand of 6th schedule is there in Leh and Ladakh. Okay. Now coming to the last news. Last news is Siom River. So why it is in news? Recently, Prime Minister of India has laid the foundation of 2 hydroelectric projects. One is Hio and Telo 1. So you should know about the Siom River in this. You should know about Hio and Telo. Secondly, you should also know why India is establishing many dams in northeastern, in Arunachal Pradesh region especially. You might have heard the news that China is building the world's largest dam. Where it is building? It is building just above the Arunachal Pradesh. So for our water security, India is also building so that we can utilize our water resources in more effective way. Okay, now coming to the Siom River, it is located in Arunachal Pradesh and it originates from eastern Himalayas. Okay, and it is the right bank tributary of Siang, which is the name used for Brahmaputra River in Arunachal Pradesh. So this was the about Siom River. So for reading more about our current affairs, you can go to digital current affairs of ours, and where you can not only found the News Today monthly magazine PT 365, but you will also get the quizzes so that you can practice your learning and you can revise your subject in a more effective way. So this was from today's session. All the very best. Thank you.